So this is normally the slide where people go, ah, God, that now I understand what or who RITA is. There is method in the madness. She is called something. Or stand for something. It stands for Reminiscence Interactive Therapy Activities, and it was given that name actually by one of our long-standing hospital customers at Northumbria Healthcare up in the northeast. And the reason being is previous to that, it was called My Life Software, it was called DRTS, and they wanted to give the technology a persona, really to make it more engaging, more approachable for service users and staff alike. And she genuinely does get referred by customers as a she, a mummy RITA and a baby RITA, which will become apparent in just a minute. Something else I should mention is we do have a more generic version of RITA called Rehabilitation and Interactive Therapy Activities. The reason why we've termed it that is because the overall version of RITA, the dementia-specific version, actually worked incredibly well with other service users and other service settings, particularly in A&E, ITU, children's services, learning disabilities. It all worked very, very, very well. So what we've done is we created a more generic version that has a more specific content for those particular users. So what you'll see today pretty much is the same. It's the same concept, just the content slightly rejigged to support the needs of those individuals. So what is RITA? Ultimately, it's being termed by our customers as an alternative therapeutic intervention. So really it aligns nicely with obviously clinical interventions, nursing care, to support patients on a therapeutic basis, to support person-centered care, enhancements in quality of life and well-being, and so on and so forth. And what it encompasses is the use of an all-in-one touchscreen. The solution I'll talk to you today about is primary purpose is to offer digital reminiscence therapy. Now, it says there that it's a relatively new tool in the fields of nursing and healthcare. Now, you guys will know that reminiscence therapy, art therapy, music therapy, it's all been around for a very long time and works incredibly well. What's challenging with it is to be able to deliver that kind of therapy in a really efficient and quick manner. And what we've done is provide a digital platform to allow you to deliver those type of interventions, plus much, much more on the fly without the need for Wi-Fi, which I'll talk through in a minute. Now, what it encompasses is the use of a number of different interactive touchscreens. The first is a package, which we refer to as a package, which is the mummy RITAs I referred to earlier on, which is a 24-inch monitor that comes on a trolley and can be wheeled around nursing homes, day services, hospital wards, and so on and so forth. That gets used very, very well, particularly in care homes in a group environment. So it really supports group activities to support with social inclusion. But admittedly, it gets used very well on a one-to-one basis as well, particularly if people are being socially isolated in their own rooms or they're bedbound. Whereas the 10-inch baby RITA, that very much gets used on a one-to-one basis or an independent basis when appropriate and when onboarded. And I'll touch upon the value of the kind of person-centered care components within RITA in just a minute. Something that is music to many people's ears or eyes is it does not require Wi-Fi or 4G or any internet connectivity to work. 95% of the content I'll show you today is out of the box. So you're not going to be met by the buffering wheel of doom. If you're having one-to-ones and one-to-one interactions with potentially quite challenging individuals, or they're challenging in that particular point in time, and they've become accustomed to RITA, the last thing you need is promising them something and not being able to deliver it. So it's all out of the box and easy to use. Ultimately, it's the whole solution is around blending entertainment with therapy and therapeutic aids. I think we'll all agree on the call that entertainment is a form of therapy, but what RITA does is enable you to deliver a lot of these type of interventions quite quickly and easily on a person-centered basis. Now, from a dementia perspective, it assists service users, particularly those with memory impairments, in recalling and sharing events from their past. Now, that could be listening to music, watching films, classic TV clips, old news reports, information about historical events, many, many images to promote resonance and therefore communication with that individual. Now, one of the most unique features, in my opinion, and I love this feature, is how it delivers and supports personalised or person-centred care. Now, each device that I referred to earlier on, and sorry, I've just remembered I forgot a device, it's the 13-inch device that comes on a trolley as well, but it has an extendable arm that can be extended over beds. Now, it was originally devised for ITU. It gets used, we have a RITA ITU system that gets used over the bed, but it can also be used in an A&E setting. And of course, when you've got bedbound patients, my mum, or bedbound service users, my mum is one of those, that enables them not just to see what's on the screen, but they can actually interact with the screen because it's a touch screen capability. Now, from a personalization perspective, each device that I've just mentioned allows you to set up over 500 individual profiles. Now, that's really powerful because what that enables you to do is start to build profiles, create profiles for individual residents in care homes or long-term patients in hospitals, or even short-term for that matter, because it can be used well in that scenario as well. Now, once you've got a profile for an individual, that enables you to start to favorite content. So I'll give you an example. It could be you've gone into a music track and that stimulated a conversation about how it was the track played at the first dance of their wedding. It could be an image of a holiday destination such as Blackpool, and it's got them talking about how they used to go on family holidays in Blackpool. Or it could just be simply TV clip. That's the one I was thinking about. It could be Morecambe and Wise, and it got them thinking about how back in the day when we all actually used to watch TV programs on a Saturday evening, all as a family in the living room. It gets them talking about those days as well. But the important thing is the system will prompt you to put a note in. So not only can you favorite that content, it will prompt you to put a note in there. And that's really important because that allows you to start to write down what the conversation was, what was the resonance, what mattered to that individual. So not only can you use that content again in a one-to-one scenario, but you can talk through it. You can talk through it even if you haven't had that one-to-one. So we work in a shift-based environment. If you've got another staff member who's come onto shift, they can use RITA via a standard operating procedure, potentially on a meds round or something. And if that individual's looking distressed or agitated, you can bring RITA out, and you can most importantly go and talk through and show them content or let them listen to music that you know has worked for them before. So you start to really build a playlist of really useful information for each individual resident. Where is RITA used? Quite frankly, where is it not used? It's well over 1,000 care facilities across the UK, in hospitals, in all types of hospitals, acute, community, and mental health. It's used in care and residential homes, LD homes, hospices, step-down units, intermediate care facilities, you name it, it's there. And importantly, over the past 2.5 years, and there's a link between COVID and that, to be honest with you, as many things have changed for the good during COVID. We've now got 26 commissioners across the UK who have invested in RITA for their care home communities. And that range, we've got it in all countries as well: England, Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales. In particular in Wales, it's used in every single health board and many care homes within each health board, and Public Health Wales and Social Care Wales are very supportive of a more integrated approach to how they use RITA across settings. The first video here is just going to give you a quick summary of RITA. It's about 5 years old. The concept still remains the same. The hardware's changed a little bit and we've extended the content somewhat, but it really gives you a flavour to the value of RITA, particularly in an acute environment. So I'll let Katie give you a quick summary now.
Hello, my name's Katie Bricktard and I'm the Ward Manager of Albert Ward at St Mary's Hospital. We've been working with the My Improvement Network system since November, which has been absolutely fantastic, and we've seen huge improvements into the delivery of care for patients. It has an array of games, there's music, videos, BBC clips, My Life Story collage, and a variety of activities to keep patients stimulated during the day so that actually they are sleeping during the night. We've seen a huge improvement in the stimulation of patients, and keeping them awake during the day has really helped in their sleep-awake cycle. We found that a lot of patients were getting up at night time because they've been asleep during the day, and this then puts them at high risk of falls, trying to get out of bed and up mobilizing in the dark. We've actually reduced our falls by 50% in the last year, which is an incredible achievement. We've managed to improve the quality of the ward, and we've taken it from a white standard to a gold standard with our ward accreditation programme in the trust, which is an absolutely fantastic achievement for the patients and the staff.
So I've got a care home specific video as well to show you at the end. Now, apologies in advance because there's a lot of information here, and obviously I'll share the slides, and if anyone misses anything, we can always arrange an extended session. But this slide is going to give you a summary of the content, mainly the breadth and depth of the content available for staff to use with service users within RITA. So I'll start with communication support. So we've got a few apps there that support you in that way. We've got Show Me Where It Hurts, really simple touchscreen capability using a traffic light based system from hurts a little in green to hurts a lot in red, allowing non-verbal patients, or maybe those that don't speak English as a first language, to be able to communicate via touch on the screen where they may be experiencing pain. So obviously in our ICU environment, it's really useful for intubated patients and service users, and generally for those that are non-verbal, it's a nice way for them to communicate pain. We've also got the Hear Me app. This was originally designed or co-designed with Queen Elizabeth Hospitals Birmingham to support with LD patients, non-verbal, both illiterate and literate, communicating via common phrases, text, audio, and also graphics and images. We've now taken it a step further to allow staff to be able to communicate with people who don't speak English as a first language or have reverted back to their mother tongue, and over 26 different languages are enabled in there for you as well. And the final one there is something that's very pertinent to COVID, video calling. We just enable access to things like Zoom, Teams, Skype, and Google Duo, and so on. I talked about the profiling, the person-centered care. We also offer the My Life Passport, which is similar to the This Is Me concept. It's just a summary of the individual using both images and text, a little bit about themselves, their family, their likes, their dislikes, and their preferences are on the back. The beauty of this is it's digital, which enables you to download it and email it, or obviously you can print it out as well. And we also promote life story work. We do a lot of life story webinars hosted by a customer of ours, Glenn, and it's an incredibly powerful and therapeutic way of engaging with service users, particularly with dementia and memory impairments. We've got a whole host of sensory and relaxation content, moving images. The kittens come moving towards you there. The husky puppies shuffle around. We've got poppy fields, waterfalls, seascapes. It's all supported with relaxation music. This has been fed back to us to support with nutrition and hydration rates, because people are bringing it out maybe an hour and a half before meal times and during meal times to support those who maybe suffer with anxiety and stress. It's also been used to help with reducing safeguarding incidents and sundowning incidents late on in the afternoons. It's obviously very useful for sleep therapy. It's been used incredibly well for end-of-life patients, really obviously quite challenging time for them there, and kind of cancelling the noise in the background is a really nice way of dealing with that. And it's also been helped to prevent but also reverse delirium quicker than would ordinarily be possible without an intervention such as RITA being incorporated into that care package. So it's not the only thing that supports with those things, but it's a real supportive mechanism to help reverse some of those things. So we've got, with all of those, we've got case studies and contacts you can speak to validate them. We've got creative stimulation, so we've got painting and drawing, your art therapy. We've got a digital garden. This enables service users to plant a garden, maintain a garden, and grow the garden against their profile. And it's the same concept with the aquarium. The aquarium allows you to produce an aquarium, add different features, fish, keep them clean, and keep them fed, of course. We've got quizzes and games to support with stimulation, and particularly with group activities. So if you think from a care home environment, group activities, we've got quiz time, your pub quiz. We've got karaoke. We've got bingo. We've got simulation horse racing, and believe it or not, genuinely simulation pig racing. And people always ask why, and the answer is why not? It's all about having fun. And got a great story about a retired farmer in Northern Ireland who literally could not stop laughing at the pig racing. And that's what this is all about. It's about stimulation, getting people together and having fun. Other games we've got Jigsaw. The digital Jigsaw is defaulted to the reminiscence images, but you can actually get family members to send in images of them, the service user in the family, or with the baby Rita, you can take images of yourself having that one-to-one with the individual and do a Jigsaw that way. We've got carnivalesque type games such as free kick, whack-a-mole, coconut shy, shooting range. All on face value seem like a bit of a nice to have, a bit of entertainment, and indeed they are. But a lot of the content, if not all of it, is being guided by healthcare practitioners like yourselves, particularly OTs, allied health professionals. And a lot of the content that I just mentioned there really helps to support with hand-eye monitoring, hand-eye coordination, and reflex and response times. And we've got other things like word search and other quizzes and games as well. We've got reminiscence is our bread and butter. So we've got photographic reminiscence. All of the images that are displayed there come with a banner explaining a little bit more about what the image is displaying, because let's be honest with you, not many 20 or 30 something year olds are going to know who Humphrey Bogart is in that picture. So if the picture hasn't stimulated the conversation, maybe talking through it will do. And it's broken down into different categories: entertainment, pastimes, decades, geography, and so on and so forth. We've got TV and video to support with reminiscence. So we've got archived sporting clips. We've got classic BBC TV clips such as Are You Being Served, Morecambe and Wise, Dad's Army. We've got famous interviews. You've got Elvis there. We've got famous speeches, the Neil Armstrong's moon landing, the Queen's first speech, and so on and so forth. It's all there, little clips to stimulate that conversation and start to get that conversation and resonance going. Again, every image and TV clip has a star at the top right. That's where you favorite it, and it'll prompt you to put that note in to explain why it resonated. We've got music. Music therapy is commonly misconceived as simply putting music on and quite frankly hoping for the best, but putting XFM in the background, quite frankly, is probably going to be irritating more people than not. So we take a bit of a consultative approach to music therapy. Firstly, you get that kind of nice sensory image of the gramophone going round, but you can search by artist and genre. So if you know a bit of the likes and dislikes from family members or the individual themselves, if they're able to tell you, you can search by artist and genre. But if you don't, and you only know their date of birth, particularly if it's an A&E environment, you can search by decade. So you can very quickly look up, say, the 1950s or 60s, and it will come up with all of the classic number ones from those decades. And finally, we've got movie night. This offers a bit of longevity. It's available on the 24-inch devices. Can be used great on a group environment basis, having a popcorn or movie night. But if people are being socially isolated, it's nice to bring a movie to them. And things I haven't mentioned here, we've got exercise-based content, move it or lose it, armchair-based exercises. We've got How Fit, which was devised by North Tyneside CCG for their entire community, whether they're in the care home or not. And that's offering a bit more generic-based exercise content. And we've got the Delirium Toolkit. The Delirium Toolkit is accessible via a carers menu. That enables the 480 Delirium assessment tool to be used on the fly with the individual that you're having the one-to-one with. And in an ITU environment, they've got the CAM ICU. I'm not going to talk through all of these. I'm conscious we've got very little time. But it's important to say these are some of the byproducts, and I refer to them as byproduct because the technology itself doesn't achieve this. It's the use of the technology and the change of the behaviours and environment as a consequence of using the technology that produces these outcomes, which are reported by clients. So we've seen, had reported back to us, reductions in instances of falls following the introduction of RITA. So that's by things like what Katie was talking about earlier on, so the sleep-awake cycles. We've also seen or had it reported back to us that care homes have been dealing with more challenging service users in a different way. They've been engaging with RITA, which has led to them reducing the amount of challenging behaviours and also reduce the amount of wandering with purpose, and that normally leads to falls. A knock-on impact of that is reduction of hospital admissions has been reported from some care homes. In a hospital environment, detox and length of stay has been reported to have reduced. Reported reduction in the need of 1-to-1, 2-to-1 and 3-to-1, and reported reduction in residents on high rates of care. Now, this is really interesting because we're seeing a number of commissioners at the moment actually prescribing RITA into care packages. So when a care home may come and ask for an enhancement of a rate of care, maybe through additional staffing, which is obviously slim to none at the moment. What the commissioners are doing are prescribing RITA on a one-to-one basis with that individual, and they'll assess the impact of that introduction of the technology and then deem whether it's necessary to inflate or enhance that care package. And quite frequently we're seeing that actually being the case, that they didn't need it, they've just implemented RITA with their care profile. Reduction of antipsychotic and sleeping medication is another one that's being reported back. It doesn't eliminate it entirely, but a reduction is being reported back as well. And I think the obvious thing here is the enhancements in service user and staff experience. And I really note the staff experience here, because we always forget that. The impact of it having such an impact on the service users and the reduction of safeguarding incidents and challenging behaviour has led to the staff enjoying their job more, and obviously being able to use RITA has allowed them to enjoy their job more as well. So it's kind of a win-win all round. And then finally, I know we've only got 5 minutes left, but this is Ruth Marshall talking about her journey with RITA. It's only a minute long. She went to go and see RITA being used in Northumbria Healthcare and came back and asked the question simply, why in God's name have we not got this type of technology in our care homes? So she went ahead using a fund to roll out RITA, and this is what she said after the event.
We had seen RITA being used in the acute hospital, and part of our quality monitoring when we go around the homes, we identified there was a lack of activities going on within the homes. So we thought it was an ideal opportunity. We had some funding that was available for investment. So we decided that we would invest in buying a RITA system for each of our care homes. All of our homes have been using RITA really, really well. We've had great success. There's been some homes have identified reductions in falls. Some have been doing a little bit more meaningful activities with the residents. Families have been involved, so that the activities that's been going on within the homes now are more personal centred and a more meaningful activity that the residents are receiving. I would recommend RITA to other CCGs and local authorities as part of their strategic vision for reducing hospital admissions, for reducing one-to-one, and for reducing falls. I think at a strategic level we can help reduce some of these in the care homes.
Now, importantly, just to follow up on that, the reason why we push this so much is because of the volume of the same responses, the same feedback. So out of the 26 commissioners that I mentioned at the beginning, all of them without exception have had it reported back to them that they've achieved, maybe not in the same league in terms of, in some cases we've seen, 77% reduction in falls in some cases, but a number of care homes have reported back falls and safeguarding incidents being reduced and so on. And